just want to make sure I can see the chat as I'm going about doing this. I'm just making sure my channel. Okay. Yeah, alright. Okay, how do I enable my chat? Cassettes. Oh wow, okay. Alright, can I see? Alright, nice. Now we got a live chat. Perfecto. Alright. So kind of like the last video, or yeah, or the one about dreams and stuff. I kind of want to take a moment. Also, by the way, I'm just going to address why I haven't uploaded a bit. I'm finishing up my semester. So we all know that could be a very anxious and busy time for everyone. Yeah, because that's school. Anyway, let's get into it. So, sorry, pausing in my head. So, monkey's paw in concept is a kind of trope or idea that, as far as to my knowledge, I should put that in preface. To my knowledge, is a concept that when a wish granter grants a wish, it is through the flawed phrasing that the wish does not come out how the user wants it to. Like, say, I wish for it to be ripped, and I know this can be it's a reference to Smosh, but he did like the same thing or something. He's like, I need to be ripped, and he ends up ripping off arms, trying to pick up a weight. But yeah, it goes up a little like that. But it always seemed a bit kind of annoying to always see it in that form. It's like, oh, you weren't specific enough. So I kind of wanted to create a scenario where that wasn't the case. It wasn't the wish granter that was flawed, it was the wisher. So I decided to make a scenario. So say let's have a person who gets like a perfect wish granter. Let's say a magic ring or a genie for the purpose of it. Let's go magic ring, the ring of wishes from D&D. They wish to have power, able to rule the world. Now, because of this wish, it happens in a very quick, steps. Maybe like a year or so. It's not too long, but they manage to get into the position where they are, say, ruler of the world, or maybe say it's America. It's not based on any real people or not. It's not political. Let's just say that it's kind of go in the same place as the Dead Zone, if you've ever read that. Say the person grants power, but because they haven't really been able to, they don't handle power well, and that the person in their hubris themselves is flawed. That's why the wish doesn't end up working. And they end up plunging themselves into, or plunging the world into nuclear holocaust, because they didn't understand that they wouldn't be able to handle that power, and it's just their, thirst for power that would. Oh, one more here. I'm doing like a revised version or an alternate version of the monkey's paw, but because their wish was flawed in themselves as opposed to the wish granter, that is why the wish failed. Not because they weren't specific enough in the phrasing of their wish, is that the wish itself was poorly thought out. It was based on some sort of man-made hubris. That's just something I thought was an interesting way to do the monkey's paw kind of idea, because I'm going to step up again, or I'm going to go over just a little bit of the first part, just because the one viewer. is that I just found it so monotonous to always have the wish granter be the flawed one instead of the wishee. Now, it's probably going to make up half the video, but yes, it's world building. So I know some of you strapping young writers, because I know there's many of you. You might be asking yourself, how do you world build? I have such a hard time coming up with concepts. Well, I do too. It's no surprise. I always like, well, where do I start? Sometimes, depending on what your setting is, I like to think of in D&D setting because that's just something I've grown up with. That being a hardcore MLG D&D player. So you can tell because this is how D&D I am. But part of what I do is actually I was just during class today. I made histories for like fictional daggers. It's over here in this journal. Hashtag Flamingo Life, But like one was the dagger of an assassin called the Blinder, and the dagger, magical or not, was known for being in the hand of the Blinder who would sever eyeballs. I know that might be a little graphic for you people, but hey, we're talking about fictional worlds. There's going to be graphic stuff happening. Yeah, it was Bishul from who was known as the Blinder because he would assassinate people by blinding and or severing something. Or there was this other more like katana-looking dagger that was belonged to Threskill of Baskalor. So in that, it's just I'd like to make little things that belong to this person or that person, or in some way or another, and that kind of compounds. It's this way that I try to achieve, or at least I hope to achieve, something that Stephen King said. I believe it's been in multiple talks about how he gets his ideas or how he does his writing, but he says I just start typing for say 4 hours. That's his writing time, and I just make a bunch of ideas. I connect the ideas, see if that works. Throw it away if it doesn't. But that's the general principle. Is he's trying to connect ideas. So my way of doing this, at least in theory, is to create weapons, or maybe like a period of history in a fictional setting. And that's how I sort of connect these ideas. Like I wrote a whole page and a half, basically, based on just a dagger I drew. It's probably not new to you guys, but it's just like a handle and stuff, and a triangular blade. It's very common in the history of daggers. But that led to me writing a page and a half on what the suit age was. So like I guess it's it's like so many things. Like you have to keep writing and trying to practice those skills if you're ever gonna get good at it. But I just like to create little things like this hairbrush, right? Let's say it belonged to someone who's whacked it at like a high-ranking official that started a revolution. Wacky, yes. However, that's how you get started on world building. Just random stuff, and then try to connect it all. And once you've got all those connections, you've got an overarching story or world. It's just that's how world building is. Now, that if anyone wants to ask any questions, I don't think people would, but I'm ready for questions. But I always like to world build by creating objects, because objects were used in some way by people. And it's a little on the shorter edge end of my videos, but I want to make sure I get at least some content out describing the thoughts I had, because I kept on missing the whole monkey's paw thing. All right. Actually, I have a question for you guys. Maybe you could put this in the comments below when I end the stream. But I have a couple short stories. I know they're not the best, the most uh, lucrative on my channel, but if you ever want me to read one of my short stories that I've written, please do. I would love to show those if you guys want to see it, because that's I've always been told I have a captivating writing style. But yeah, if you want to see the short stories, I'd be willing to read them. All right. So with that, I would bid you adios. If you like what you saw today or things previously streamed, please make sure to leave a comment if you feel like watching more of it on a regular basis, or at least I hope to make it on a regular basis. Then why don't you click that funny little button in the bell so that you get notified whenever I do something like this. Have a good day.